vacation. Bring your palms together. Welcome, everybody. Our practice for Svaddhistana chakra. Take a breath. May we be protected together. May we be nourished together. May we create strength and abundance. May we work together with great vigor. May we grow in clarity, wisdom, peace. Please make sure your microphone's turned off, and we'll come down onto the floor and loosen up, especially around the lower spine. So we'll be lying on our backs. Perhaps you have a low support underneath the head. Lie down and cross your left ankle over your right ankle. Squeeze your legs together. So this is the same warm-up that we did last week. Rock your ankles. So feet tip to left and right, left and right. And maybe the hips are rocking too. So you feel some rotation, I dare say. The thighs and the calves firmly together. And one heel pressing down, leading the rocking movements. And then uncross, straighten out, and cross the other way. So now the right leg is on top and more flipping from side to side. And noticing the sensations through the legs. One hip lifting, some rotation. And then uncross, straighten out, give both legs a shake. Pause there. Next movement, bend the knees, place the feet flat, and rocking the knees from side to side. This rotation, you may feel, moves higher up the spine, affecting the sides of your rib cage, perhaps. So go at the pace, keep your shoulders relaxed. This doesn't really involve shoulders at all. Side to side, a couple more times. And then come to the center and pause there. Now one more rotation movement. Still with knees bent, separate your feet wider. And then lower the left knee so it drops down towards the right foot. So it's coming towards the midline. And then lift that left knee up and gradually bring the right knee down. So it's an internal rotation. Again, left knee comes down towards the right foot. Mightn't go all the way down. Just explore what feels comfortable as you rotate the thigh in the hip socket. So again, go at your own pace. So the head of your thigh bone, the femur, we're encouraging the production of the lubricant, the synovial fluid, and exploring the way the thigh bone moves in the hip socket. And then come to the center and just bring your feet back in line with the hip joints. Pause there. Straighten out the legs and just feel. Maybe there's a sense of, shimmering energy starting to flow through the lower body, lower spine, hips, legs. Just notice what you feel in your own body. And then we're going to roll over to lie face down. But before you do that, perhaps you should just have a look. This one is a movement we haven't done before, or we may have done it a long time ago. So just have a look initially. I'm going to lie face down with my elbows apart, so they're wider than my shoulders. And I'm going to bring the right knee up closer to the elbow and look towards the knee. And then I'll turn and look, bring the left knee up. So it's like a sort of baby trying to learn to crawl. A very early developmental movement. I hope you can see it. I'll put the view on speaker view. I should have thought of that. I'm coming up to put things on a bigger view for you. Let's see. Okay, let's do that again. So my elbows are wide, and I'm going to draw my knee up and turn and look towards the knee. And keep my face low and do the same on the other side. And if your pelvis or your lower back feels tight or painful, make the movement very small. So move down onto the floor face down. Take your elbows out quite wide. And do that a few times. So you can probably picture the idea of a very young child making the first attempts to move forward, so that bringing the knee up gives you access to a bit of propulsion. So try that a few more times and notice how your pelvis, your lower back, all those regions deal with that movement. One more to each side. And then just pause and allow your body to have that time to notice and sense. And then I'm going to make the movement a bit more complicated. So if you want to have a look, do that. So this time I'm going to take my left arm forward and bring my right knee up and do a big roll. So it's coordinating the movements of the arms and rotation. So it's like a puppy rolling over onto his back. I hope you can see. On my screen, I can only see one person, and that's not me. So it's a bit hit and miss if you're seeing what I want you to see. So I'm going to move my right knee with my left arm stretched out and then roll over and then come back again. And then my right arm stretches out, left knee comes up and I roll over. So try that. It's like an extension of the first movement. And it should be, hopefully it feels like a fluid rolling action. So just going to and fro, like spiraling in one direction and then coming back and spiraling in the other direction. So your head stays pretty low. And when I'm rolling on my left side and the right knee comes up slightly bent, then it feels like my left side psoas can get a nice stretch. And then when I roll over onto my right side, then it's open on the right side. So try a couple more. I'm getting all tangled up in my microphone cord. Oh, my dear. This is a bit of a challenge to record this. I hope you're feeling the ability to spiral, to let your pelvis rotate, to let your lumbar spine rotate, like a puppy would roll over onto its back so you could tickle its tummy. And then come back and have a rest. Come to sit briefly and we'll do some Baddha Konasana. So sitting up straight, you might choose to be on a blanket. If you don't need to, that's fine. Soles together, hands around the ankles, little hip flexing. And we'll add the Bija Mantra, Om Vang Namaha, or homage to the water element of the body. So this Vang sound is thought to vibrate and resonate right there at the second chakra. So this is how it sounds. We'll inhale, lift the knees up, and then Om Vang Namaha. So try that together. Inhale, raise the knees. Om Vang Namaha. Again. Om Vang Namaha. Again. Om Vang Namaha. And then straighten out the legs, give the legs a shake. I am going to sit on my blanket for the next one. So do the same if you wish. I'm sitting with legs outstretched and crossing the right ankle against the left knee. So it may be that your crossover is closer to the foot, wherever you can comfortably manage to cross over. One hand supporting the foot, one hand over the knee. So we're sort of protecting and holding that knee quite in a solid grasp, lift and go from side to side. And if you keep the foot flexed, that is pulling the toes up towards your shin, that helps to protect the knee. And we're doing some more loosening around the back of the pelvis. So maybe if your crossover is lower and you can't quite reach the foot, that's okay too. But the action, we're looking for this action around the hip socket. And then straighten out, give the legs a shake. Then on the second side, so crossing over where it's feasible and comfortable. Flex the foot if you have, flex the foot either way, whether it's low or above the knee. Clasp over the knee, holding the foot and angling from side to side. And then release, straighten out. We'll turn now to a kneeling position. So if your knees need protection, then blanket under the knees is good. So we're going to do some Anjaneyasana. Stand up tall on your knees, feeling of opening through the front of the thighs. Take a breath in, interlace above, lengthen up tall. And then release the arms down and bring your left foot forward. Left hand on the knee. And we'll reach back and sweep up as the hips come forward. And exhale, lower the arm. So reach back, pull through, palm facing up, look up, and then palm down, push back. Again, pull through, palm down, push back. This time we'll take both arms up, pull through. Stay for a few breaths if you wish. Release the arms down. Both knees on the mat. Pause there. Compare the sensations in the right side and with the left side. And now bring the right knee forward. Same again. This time, right hand on the knee, left hand reaches back, pull through, palm up, look up, and push back. So using your shoulders in a way that's okay for you, maybe a much smaller movement, and it's smooth and fluid, and push down. Take your arm back, open your chest, palm front, pull up, look up, and a smooth flowing back. This time we'll raise both arms, hold for a few breaths, hips forward, chest raised, looking up. And then release arms down. Bring this knee back and either sink back and rest in child pose or take yourself into downward facing dog. You choose. Let's all come down to child pose. We'll do a little strengthening action for the muscles around the spine. So inhale, reach the left leg back. And if you wish to add the right arm coming forward, and then pulling both limbs in underneath the trunk. and a fluid stretching out. Maybe one limb or two limbs, pulling in underneath. Opposite limbs stretching out from the core and then pulling back. Make it a free floating sort of a stretch out. Pulling in under. Pause in child pose or downward facing dog. And then coming onto tabletop, hands and knees once again. And either just your right leg or add the arm as well, the opposite arm. And then pulling in underneath. Inhale. Draw the breath in, floating away from the center. And then reconnecting back to your core. Stretch open and pull in. Last one. Stretch open and compact. And sinking down to child pose. Take the weight off your wrists. Circle the wrists while you rest the spine. Let's come to lie down, face down on the floor. We'll do a version of Shalabhasana, a good second chakra pose. So stretch out flat, lying face down, arms by side. Stretch your feet straight back. And then just stretch away through the right toes and then come back and stretch away through the left toes. So it's as though the back of your pelvis is swiveling from side to side. So right toes along, come back, left toes. So your hips, there's an adjustment across the back of your pelvis. Right side goes down, left side up. And left side goes down, right side up. And then pause. And we'll take a breath. Just raise the face, lift both legs and separate your feet. And then exhale, bring your feet together. Squeeze the legs inwards to the midline. Inhale, separate. Exhale, squeeze. One more like that. Inhale, separate. Exhale, squeeze the legs into the center and then rest. Give your hips a shake. So we'll do the same, or if you wish to add an arm action, you could. I like to work in cactus arms, so this is optional. The same lower body movement, adding a lift of the upper body. That's optional. So inhale, arms lift, firm around the shoulder blades, separate the feet, squeeze together and bring your elbows towards your waist if you're doing the cactus arm bit. So inhale, feet wide, cactus arms. Exhale, elbows down to the waist, feet and legs together. One more. Exhale, squeeze the feet, the knees, the thighs, and rest. Shake the hips. Pause there. if you wish, one more time. So either arms just by side or cactus arms. Inhale, lift, feet wide. Exhale, elbows to the waist, neck long, feet together. This is called Vimanasana. Inhale, exhale, feet together, elbows to the waist. Last one. And then rest. Shake the hips. Head turned to one side. Pause. And feel the effect on your prana, on your life force. Then come to sit. We'll take our block for the next movement. So I hope you, maybe not a block, a big fat book, or a chunky, tightly folded blanket would do the same thing. I'm going to use my block, but a blanket is equally useful. I'm going to practice pigeon pose, Raja Kapotasana, archetypal posture for the Svaddhistana chakra. So I've got my block handy. Coming into tabletop, I'm going to bring my right knee up towards the right wrist and then bring the foot across towards the left side. So I hope you can see my shin is angled, and then this back foot is sliding back, so I can rest this hip, the top of my leg, on the block or the blanket. And then my elbows come down, and I feel a very significant sense of stretch. So maybe you need your block higher. My chest is dropping down towards the floor. And the left leg is stretched right back with the weight resting on the front surface of the leg, the front of the left knee, shin, and foot. We'll stay here for several breaths. So if you wish, you could add to the intensity, if it suits you, by bringing your hands up, straightening the arms, lifting the shoulders. So that's adding a big contraction in the lumbar region. So maybe elbows bent would be nicer. So work with your own body. Maybe chest low, halfway up, or arms fully straightened. And then I'm going to gently bring this right knee back, line the knees up, sink back into child pose for a moment's rest. And then naturally, we do it on the second side. So beginning with your block handy, tabletop, hands and knees, bring the left knee towards your left hand, and then swing the foot across the midline of the mat. So my shin bone is at a diagonal across the mat. I've got my block handy so I can bring my elbows down and drop the hip onto the block. And I feel a bit different on this side. How is it for you? I guess the ligaments, tendons around the left hip joint for me are a bit tighter. It's not unusual to have a different feeling of, mobility or flexibility in the two sides of the body. And then experiment taking the hands to the floor, palms flat, and gradually drawing your chest up somewhat. Your right leg is stretched straight back, resting on the very front of the right leg. So this posture is quite tricky, may not be accessible to you if you've got difficult things going on around your hips. And once again, I'll lower my chest down, extricate my left knee back out again, and pause in child pose. So pigeon pose is quite intense. And then take a breath. Make your way to sit. We'll just do a little gentle to and fro fluid rotation. So your upper spine isn't doing anything much at all. Lower spine, discs, muscles, being well hydrated. Hydrating the tissues is really a key thing about, movement on our mats keeps the tissues well hydrated instead of getting sort of knotted or dry or stiff. We try and keep every part free moving. And then sit up with your legs extended. Take a breath in, raise the arms, and continue the upper spine rotation. Just experiment. Turn one palm up to the ceiling or palm down. Both palms up, both palms down, and then both palms up and push over to one side, and then palms down towards your head, come to the center, both palms up, around to the other side. So feeling as though we're taking the energy up and then gathering it back to the crown, and extend the energy up to the palms, bring it down to the crown, stretch up and compress. Bring the hands, bring them all the way down to the center, the groins, and then push both palms up like you're stretching out a rubber band. Center, pull the palms down and the rubber band contracts. Lift up and rotate and stretch it out again. And then let your shoulders relax. Sit cross-legged or any other comfortable sitting position. Pause there. Take a few breaths, just sensing how the energy is moving in your body. And then move down onto your back. We'll do a little Aparnasana. So energy, Aparna energy is the eliminating energy. So we're lying on the back, knees to the chest, hands over knees with the fingers pointing to the feet. Inhale, let your arms straighten. Exhale, draw the knees to the chest. Inhale, let the arms straighten so the knees move out, away. Exhale. Draw the knees in close. Take your time and do a few more. Aparnasana. And slow the breath down. Try 6 seconds to inhale, 6 to exhale. Or 5 and 5 if that suits you better. And then both hands holding the right knee, let your left foot come to the floor. Move the right knee around in a circle, maybe just right hand on that knee, circling the knee. Fluid movements of the femur in the hip socket, both directions. And put your right foot down, pause there. Then left hand on left knee, circle your left knee around. Feel how the back of your pelvis and the sacrum get a little massage and change the direction. Line the feet up now, feet flat on the floor, arms by side. We're going to do a very minimal version of bridge. So as you lie in this comfortable resting position, feet flat, lined up with hip joints, feel the sensations in your spine, in the back. And inhale, allow your waist to lift a little higher. Just make a space under your spine. And then exhale, tilt the pelvis so your back flattens. Again, inhale, arch the lumbar spine, and exhale, tilt the pelvis so you're rocking it down so your lower back's flat to the mat. A pelvic rocking movement. Again. So we're not lifting the hips at all. We're simply changing the movement of the pelvis around the hip joints. And then stop that pelvic rocking action and just rest. And take a breath in, bring your knees above your chest, inhale, stretch the arms back behind the head and push the feet to the ceiling. Exhale, arms down, knees to the chest. Again, inhale, feet to the ceiling, arms reach back or any other position, better for shoulders. And exhale, knees to the chest, arms by side. One more, feet to the ceiling, arms at any level that suits your shoulders. Rest. Bring your feet all the way to the floor in front of your hip joints, arms by side. We're going to do a slightly stronger bridge. Use your buttocks. Scoop the hips up off the floor. Keep your neck comfortable. Lift a little higher. make sure the buttock muscles are squeezing to help you lift. And then very smoothly and gradually feel your thoracic spine, your lumbar spine return to the mat, and then relax completely. Bring your knees to your chest. Take a breath in, feet to the ceiling. Leave your arms on the floor. And then release the knees to the chest, feet to the floor. Take a breath and rest. And we're going to make that combination again. So squeeze the buttocks, scoop the hips up from the floor, keep the neck comfortable, raise the hips, let your palms roll open. So your chest is open. Maybe this is a higher bridge. And then gradually release down your thoracic spine, mid spine, lumbar spine comes back to the floor, and palms roll down to the floor. And then gather your knees up above your chest. Arms stay on the floor while you push your feet up to the ceiling. And release the knees down, feet to the floor one more time. Scoop up the buttock muscles. Push the hips up, the front of the groins, lift high, palms roll open. Keep the neck comfortable. Maybe stay there for a few breaths if you wish. And then very smoothly and gradually bring your thoracic spine, your lumbar spine down to the mat. Roll the palms down and bring both knees up and rock from side to side. And stretch the legs out along the mat. Bend your left knee and take your right hand, if you like, to massage into the right groin. Lots of lymph nodes in the groin. Encourage a bit of movement of the lymph. Massage your right ITB, that is from the hip joint down towards the knee on the side seam of your leg. Sometimes that gets very tight. Maybe dig your fingers in. And then even roll further over to the left and reach around, massage with your fist up behind the waist on the right, all around the right buttock. Any part of that right side that you feel needs some encouragement to release. And then let your right foot come back to that comfortable resting position. And then massage into the left groin. So your left hand massaging into the crease there. And the ITB from your big hip joint down to the outer part of your knee. Squeeze your fingertips into that really tough fibrous band. And even roll a little more to the right so you can get your fist into a massage around the left side. Around the waist, kidneys, buttock. And then hug both knees, rock. And come to rest. And make your way into Shavasana. So extra support wherever you need, under your knees, under the head. Cover up if you like, a bit more warmth. Stretch out straight, symmetrically. And feel the sensation of the weight of your right shoulder and compare that to the feeling of your left shoulder resting on the mat. And the right buttock, compare that with the sense of the left. Do they feel equally weighted? Maybe you need to just shuffle around a bit till you get a sense that they're equally soft, equally spreading, equally comfortable. Right side, left side. And feel the energy flow in your body. Imagine a hollow tube from the crown to the tip of your tail. Nothing impedes the flow of breath and energy through that hollow tube. Free flowing energy. Crown to tail, tail to crown. And slow your breath down. 5 or 6 seconds to inhale. 5 or 6 seconds to exhale. And imagine an empty space at the level of Svaddhistana. So in the back, knee sacrum just below the waist. A feeling of empty space. And as you inhale, visualize a beam of healing energy streaming down into the pelvis, into that bowl formed by the bones of your pelvis. So as you inhale slowly, bring a beam of light and energy, give it a color, and it comes down into the bowl of your pelvis, all around the tip of the tail and the sacrum, and the warmth and energy diffuses outwards. So as you slowly inhale, visualize that healing beam. Maybe it's blue, maybe it's golden light. See it in a color that you relate to, beaming down to the pelvis. And as you exhale, the warmth and energy diffusing beyond into the thighs, into the buttocks, into the lower back. And mentally chant the mantra as you exhale, Om Vang Namaha. I shall chant the mantra too. Om Vang Namaha. Om Vang Namaha. Om Vang Namaha. Homage to the fluid element, the water element. Take rest. And sense that perhaps our asana practice, focusing on the second chakra, focusing on Svaddhistana, has opened you to the possibility of dealing with past traumas. That help is at hand, maybe from your own resources. Vishnu, the rescuer, is available. Despite what Rakini, the angry, suppressing energy, wants to say. So the two mental tendencies are present. Our capacity to move towards integration and processing of trauma, and our tendency to try and suppress, to hold anger or resentment. So what is it we need to do to allow us to move forward, to get that, access the option for growth, to process, to resolve the knots, to loosen the knots, let the threads untangle and reveal the clear path to progress. And just for a moment, feel the sensations in the pelvic bowl, your connection to the ground, to the earth energy, solidity, and your access to sensuality, fluidity, pleasurable free movement. And then when you're ready, take any movements that you choose. Do a bit of stretching, rocking, massaging. And when you're ready, move to sit. And I'll offer you a few questions that you might like to think about later. Write in your journal, perhaps. So regarding the concept of support, the rescuer, accessing help so that we can help unpack these events in our past life. So we're not carrying them like a load into our future. So some sort of question such as, how can I access greater support, inner support, outer support, even when I feel a sense of hopelessness or helplessness? And am I clear about what I can control and what I can't control? And I like the idea of grace, of opening yourself up to the possibility that help is there, and we can recognize the blessing of being able to access help from above or help from other professional sources, not resisting, not holding on to that anger, or using methods to, resist going into dealing with the difficulties. So that in that image, that crocodile, it's a symbol of the traumas that we might have dealt with in our life, that we might not have dealt with. Sometimes the image is not exactly a crocodile, but more like, you could call it a leviathan, sort of prehistoric monster that is, more mythological than real. So in different texts, the symbol, the animal symbol in the mandala, it varies a little bit. So a crocodile is sort of recognizable creature, but some texts actually show a weird sort of, amalgam of plesiosaur, those prehistoric fish-like dinosaurs, and lots of big teeth and wildly lashing tail. So, they're really fabulous images. I saw one like that it was an exhibition about the sinking of the Titanic. So years ago in Melbourne, there was a wonderful museum exhibition in that big building. I've forgotten the name, in Fitzroy, in the big garden there, of lots of memorabilia from the sinking of the Titanic, and the connection with the monsters of the deep, showing this fierce leviathan. So a leviathan is just a word for a big marine creature that is scary. So, that sort of represents those traumatic experiences that we might have had, and we don't want to go there. So Rakini is like this tendency of don't want to go there. But if we're going to process it and deal with it and go forward with clear comfort, then it's really worthwhile getting the support from outside professional, or calling on your yoga practice, your meditation to help you process it. So the leviathan is dealt with. So thank you for sharing our class. I think Lynn is going to take us out today. So Lynn, over to you. So you can turn your microphone on, Lynn. Everyone else, if you'd like to have a chat later.
Can you hear me, Pam?
Yes, I can.
Lovely. Thank you. My sacral region is feeling very released. That was beautiful.
Oh, so's mine.
Feeling very fluid. Look, I was reading a little bit about that second chakra and thinking about some things in the summer program that relate to this notion of repression and not perhaps giving fully of yourself, or being unable to allow parts of yourself to be revealed, especially if you're a bit of an introvert like me. And
it's funny you should say that, because right now you look to be totally in the dark because the light is behind you.
Oh, okay.
You can't even see your face.
Oh, sorry.
No, I just thought I'd throw that in.
I'll turn around next time. And it reminded me of an old-fashioned poem which I'd read a long time ago, and by Robert Frost, called Choose Something Like a Star. And in this poem, I think, well, I'll let you interpret it, but I think he's saying, you know, how can we know you if everything about you gets repressed and pushed under, and you're very minimal in how you interact and so forth. And I think he's imploring the reader, the person, to allow some of those other parts to be revealed. And that's hard for people who've had trauma, but for other people, it's just to do with personality. And then later in the poem, I think he says, you know, you don't have to go the whole hog. You don't have to completely put it all out there. People have to respond and rise up to kind of meet you. And when you were talking about the waters flowing, I thought that's that notion of both sides having to have a little bit of communication to allow that to happen. So some of the language is a little bit old-fashioned, but I think we're all of an age to understand it. So. Although you're all much younger than I am. So Choose Something Like a Star by Robert Frost.
Something like a star.
O star, the fairest one in sight, we grant your loftiness the right to some obscurity of cloud. It will not do to say of night, since dark is what brings out your light. Some mystery becomes the proud. But to be wholly taciturn in your reserve is not allowed. Say something to us we can learn by heart, and when alone repeat. Say something. And it says, I burn. But say with what degree of heat. Talk Fahrenheit, talk centigrade. Use language we can comprehend. Tell us what elements you blend. It gives us strangely little aid, but does tell something in the end. And steadfast as Keats's eremite, not even stooping from its sphere, it asks a little of us here. It asks of us a certain height. So when at times the mob is swayed to carry praise or blame too far, we may choose something like a star to stay our minds on and be stayed.
Thank you. We'll think about that one and perhaps do some hunting for Robert Frost. Something Like a Star. Was that the title?
Choose Something Like a Star.
Thank you, Lynn.
Well, given the mobs around Parliament House.
Yes, yeah, I was thinking that. Very appropriate, Lynn.
Well, thank you so much. And
yes,
we'll delve further into the third chakra next week. So again, I'll send you a copy of the mandala and you can have a little look at it before the class. So you get an idea of what we're going to be addressing. And is there any volunteer to take us out on and finish the class next time? Liz, do you think you'd like to do that?
Yes, okay, I will do that.
Excellent. Well, have a good week, everybody.
Thank you.
And so nice to just connect even across the airways. So have an excellent week, everyone. Om Shanti.
Yes, Om Shanti.
Shanti.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. That was lovely.
Oh, good. I'll end the record.